Today, I'm going to be talking to one of the most viral and talked about YouTubers on the platform, none other than Tommy G. In this interview, he talks about some of his future collab, videos, and a lot more I didn't mention. Make sure to watch the full thing and subscribe when you're done. Let's get into it. Today, I'm joined by a very special guest, Tommy G.
Howdy.
And Miguel.
Hello, how are you guys doing?
All right, and the last time I talked to you was September 2022, and a lot's happened between September 2022 and October 2023. So
Indeed.
Yeah, so let's kind of just talk about it. So I have a few kind of questions. I know like you probably get like the same thing every time. Like I know you've done a few interviews. Recently you hit 1 million subscribers. Was it like 2 weeks ago? Mm-hmm. So how'd that feel?
I guess there's to me, it's business as usual. Like, I don't like to look at the numbers too much. I like to our goal every week is to put out the best possible documentary we can. And if we do that, we're going to take off and things are going to do really well. So I try not to get too wrapped up in the numbers, but there is a sense of legitimacy now. Like when we're reaching out to different people we want to do a piece on, when we can say, instead of saying, 762,000,
right,
to say 1 million is like, okay, like these guys are somewhat legit at this point, you know?
It just looks clean, yeah. And let's talk about that hoodie, the YouTube Nike collab. What's that?
So YouTube sent us some stuff, I think last Christmas.
Okay.
So hopefully they asked for my shoe size. So I hope I might get the YouTube Nike Dunks
YouTube Forces or
dude, that would be pretty cool.
That would be. All right. So how do you feel about the Milwaukee music scene, and kind of give me your top 3 artists right now in Milwaukee?
Milwaukee music scene, what makes it wonderful is it's very funky, it's unorthodox. Mm-hmm. It's like super gangster but super unorthodox at the same time. It's also, I think, still relatively undiscovered, where we do any town we go to Houston, we go to Detroit might know about Milwaukee, but there's a lot of cities that still cannot name a Milwaukee rapper, and I think that's changing.
Definitely.
My top 2 are Trapper and Brother Man. No questions about that.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think if there's there's a lot of talented guys out there. Like I've met Super Throw Dave. He's a cool guy, but I don't listen to a ton of Milwaukee rap just when I'm driving around town.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Also, what's his name? 4on4, Big Frank.
Big Frank, yeah. Shout out Big Frank.
I can't think of any, but like I'm sure there's more that are gonna.
There's guys like SME Tax Free. He's out in Houston now, but that guy's definitely certified in Milwaukee.
Yeah. And
then there's Chicken P. But there's definitely, I think we're starting to create our own little wave here.
Yeah, with like, you think like there's like Milwaukee like underground, like kind of like hyperpop rappers, and then there's like street rappers, you know. Mm. So I think. I don't know. Do you listen to like kind of like the underground hyperpop stuff? Any of you guys?
Miguel, I think, is more into it maybe than me, but it's just, I guess it's finding the people and getting them on my Spotify. I'm a creature of habit, so I listen to a lot of the same stuff over and over. Yeah. You know, but anything that's Milwaukee and that's happening, I'm a fan of it and I'm cheering for it.
Yeah. Speaking of music, I know you released a song like 4 years ago with like Peach. Are you ever gonna drop music, or is that just like an afterthought?
Well, my next message has to go out to Certified Trapper. If you could please send me the final mix of our song. We're very close. We made a song together. We made a music video together. Miguel already has it edited, and I'm very excited about it. We're talking a lot of shit. We're saying a lot of funny nonsense, and the music video is fun to film. So I have another song coming out, and I have a song I made with a bunch of Flint, Michigan rappers. Yeah. That was a lot of fun to make too.
Wait, didn't you do a song with Baby Tron too?
We did. I don't think it's ever going to get released.
Because you did a video for that too.
We have the snippet, but I think if it would have come out, it would have come out by now.
Yeah.
So we were told it was going to be on the Shitty Boys album, but then they probably went back, re-listened to my verse, and they all looked at each other and were like, no more.
Damn. So how were the Shitty Boys?
They're a pretty relaxed group of people. Like, you know, a lot of the times we pull up to places, it's like, oh shit, things are about to go down. But they were very calm, relaxed. Yeah. They like chilling. They like smoking. They like being in the studio, and they like giving each other shit. So you could just tell it was a group that liked each other, got along, and they have a chemistry.
I like how they're dropping together now, because before it was just like Baby Tron going crazy, and now I feel like Baby Tron's more focused on like putting on Stan, Will, and what's D?
Yeah.
The other one? Yeah.
I feel like there's a new blueprint coming out with really big rappers where they're kind of building their own labels in a way.
Yeah.
And you see that with, let's see, Moneybagg Yo and Fat out in Memphis. You see that with Kodak and Little Cricks. And they're kind of they're bringing along the young guns and using their platform to raise everybody up.
Definitely. And I think like a lot of rappers who are kind of like not washed, but like they've already had their peak are kind of letting the younger guys take over the throne.
And just when they go on tour, they want to be able to have the guys that are in their own crew open up and perform and have the crowd know what's up, because then it just makes the show so much better. And if you can keep it in-house, it makes logistics so much easier, because I don't know how much scheduling you've done with rappers, but trying to get 8 rappers to be on time and do something is a very tough task. So I think if you can keep it in-house, and when Babytron goes on tour, it's his boys, the Shitty Boys opening up, it makes things a lot easier rather than coordinating with local guys and, dealing with rapper scheduling.
Definitely. And so I know you like made music. You kind of wanted to just do music at one point. Yeah. What kind of like was just the turning point of that? Like, damn, this might not work.
I suppose there came a time when I realized I wasn't going to be on the same level as Drake. And I don't think I was. When I really looked at myself in the mirror, I liked rapping. I thought I was decently good at it, but it just wasn't really going anywhere. And I didn't really envision myself selling out in an arena and being the best. And I think one thing you want to try and do at whatever pursuit it is try and be the best in the world at what you do.
Yeah.
And I just thought, you know what? I don't think I'm going to be the best rapper on earth.
Yeah, no, definitely, like, obviously being in the rap space, like, if you're white, it kind of doesn't help either being in that scene. So
yeah, well, plus, I mean, even if you look at the white boys that are really killing it, like NF is really killing it.
NF,
I cannot, like, that guy can rap at a tempo and a speed.
Yeah.
Or you see guys like Tom McDonald. He's another independent rapper that's blown up and has a huge independent fan base.
Yeah.
But he's also, like, he's gone very political and he has face tattoos. So, like, you either have to be, like, the best technical rapper, or you have to be super gangster, or you have to have kind of a shtick.
Definitely. There's no in between.
Yeah, I feel like just having a good verse doesn't do it anymore. Like, you have to have a character that accompanies the music.
I feel like Jack Harlow is like a good example of someone that kind of like, because he's like more like respected. Like all the old heads like fuck with him.
He's smooth too. He's smooth as butter. Like he's undeniable too. I think that's the other thing is, if you can become undeniable at a craft, it doesn't matter what you look like, what you sound like, who you are. If you are undeniable, people are going to recognize you.
For sure. And then you have, I'm trying to like think of other like white, like Eminem, obviously.
That's one of the all-time greats. I think if he's not in somebody's top 3, they're deluding themselves. If you listen to the Marshall Mathers LP, the Eminem Show, you listen to that early 2000s Eminem, he is one of the greats. And anyone that doesn't put him in their top 10, I think it's only because he's a white boy.
I could definitely see that. I mean, I personally don't listen to Eminem, but and then like let's talk about, because I know like your mutuals with Mabu on Instagram. Were you trying to do like a documentary with him, or what's to that?
Yeah, I actually just pitched him another idea, which is kind of Mabu goes to college. Like I'm on college campus for a day with him, checking out his life. And he is yet to get back. So we'll see. Yeah. Like we stay barely in touch. It's more like he'll reply to a story, or we'll send like a sentence or two back and forth. But I haven't really had have I ever been on the phone? I haven't had an in-depth conversation with him. Actually, you know what? The one time I spoke to him, I didn't realize he was still in high school at the time. I thought he was in college. And when he was like, oh yeah, I can't right now. I got to go to class. I'm like, and I'm like, are you in high school, buddy?
Yeah.
And what he's doing at a young age is amazing. Yeah, he's an unbelievable marketer, and he knows exactly which buttons to push. And I feel like he's very calculated behind the scenes. He it's almost like he's writing his own storyline, and he follows his plot to a T, and it's very masterful. Yeah. And I think a guy that's we should be on the lookout for as well is Punchmade Dev.
Definitely.
The things that I think he is coming around the corner. He's another guy that the character of Punchmade Dev is intriguing, and you cannot keep your eyes off what he does.
So how was that? I mean, like, here's my thing about Punchmade Dev. Obviously, I don't know him, but what I think is like he's more in like the Mabu side of things, where he's just like it's like a character. But I think that like he might have scammed in the past. I don't think he's still scamming, because obviously if he's still scamming, like that video that you posted of him, the cops would be all over that. So
I think he's very clever.
Yeah.
I think that he has been close to it. This is how I describe it. If you've been around somebody that sells weed, you can talk. Oh yeah, I'm gonna pull up.
Yeah.
Okay, I got the eighth. I got the quarter peep. Like you just know the lingo and how to talk about it. I think he's been involved. I think he's done it. But I think he's also smart enough not to get himself a federal indictment.
Right. Okay. And I feel like the video that you dropped on him blew him up in a way.
I think it was for a 24-hour period or so. Yeah. I think it was the most reacted to video on the internet, and I think it was fantastic for both of us, because like some of the stuff we got on camera, we're just like, holy shit, like, because he has some smokes and mirrors about him, like you don't know, like what, I don't know technology well enough to know, like, was that legit? Is he like, okay, use that debit card for this? He's using like, so it was kind of like, what is this guy up to, and how is he possibly doing this in a way that's not getting himself in trouble?
And let's talk about that wallet scan where like you walk by and then it gets all your information. Like, is that real? Like
that's real.
Yeah.
I think everything he showed is real and possible. I think it just, how did he display it in a way, like how did he mimic it in a close enough way, or how did he pull it off? That's what I think what his magic is like he knows how to maneuver behind the scenes.
Definitely. And let's talk about record labels kind of like giving you deals. I heard this somewhere. I was listening to one of your podcasts. You were talking about like record deals or record labels like flying you out to like interview artists. I don't know how much you can speak on that, but
I think it's going to happen more and more as the channel grows. My limited experience in working with record labels so far has been a little frustrating, because something that takes one person to do, it's like, okay, loop 8 people into this email and we'll get this easy task done. And then it takes 4 weeks with constant reminder. Like, they're to me, a lot of record labels are very bloated operations where stuff that I could get done by myself in literally 10 minutes, it takes a team of 8 people a month to do.
That's like most of corporate America, I feel like.
And there's a law in the world where it's like the bigger the organization gets, the less gets done less efficiently. So like when the SEALs go out, they go out in groups of 4, groups of 8, groups of 16. They don't grow out in a group of 2,000, because it's impossible to operate smoothly at that level. And so I think for a lot of the entrepreneurs and people growing their own channels, it's the best option to have a very small team of operators, like having a savage like Miguel on the team, or Keegan on the team, or my wife on the team. Like and Jack, like we run at a very high level. And everyone knows their role and does it excellently. There's not like overlap where we have to loop in 17 people on an email to get something done.
That's why, like, an artist, for example, like if the record label is running the Instagram, it's just not going to be natural, and it's just going to be shitty, because you're going to have some like 40-year-old white, like some guy who doesn't know anything about this artist, like posting about him. And it's better like if one person is just posting all the shit. Like, for example, like going back to like, I'm sure Mabu, like he does like his own shit. Like I know he uploads his YouTube shorts. I bet he runs like some like fan pages, like clip pages, and posts clips of himself. Like you could just tell like
he has his fingerprints on everything he does.
Yeah. That's what I feel like the way it should be, even like with you. And I think you've done that to an extent.
Yeah. Well, I think the biggest question you want to ask yourself as you're growing is your goal to be the best, or is your goal to be the biggest? And to me, it's important that we stay small and we have attention to detail with everything that comes out. And we could onboard a bunch of people and throw tasks at them, but I think the quality will go down. And so, we were talking to the manager of a very big rapper recently, and he's like, oh yeah, we have 25 people working on the launch of his release. And it's just like, what are 25 people? Like, and that's all coming out of the rapper's pocket, I think. Like, I think rappers need to be very careful about the contracts they sign, what they're getting for, and what they're footing the bill for that they might not even know about, that the label is just, well, this is part of your marketing budget and it's coming. Like, be very careful. I got for a one song release, I got a document that would lay out what my cut would be, and it was such a bullshit proposition that was just like, who do you actually sign that takes these deals? Like I think when everything was said and done, that they wanted me to agree to like a 10% cut while I'm making the song, I'm fronting the money for the song, the music video, the production, and they get most of it, and then I'm the one marketing it.
Yeah.
So where is the value in even partnering with them? I think at the big levels it makes sense. If you need help coordinating tours, if you need help, if you want the relationships, that's the other thing. Hey, I can't personally reach out to Yo Gotti, but I know this guy that can. That's where the relationships of the industry and the label, I think, are beneficial.
So, I mean, 10% though, that's nothing for the amount.
It was a joke. I just think with what they were bringing to the table and what I was bringing to the table, you'd have to be very stupid from a business standpoint to ever agree to something like that. And I think, to be fair, the rappers that are signing deals right now, they have a lot more leverage than I do. If you have your independent buzz, like let's say you're a guy like Mexican OT and you have a few million on Spotify, when you walk into the room with the labels, you have so much negotiating power.
Oh, yeah.
It's like you have like let's say the labels are a girlfriend. You have 7 girlfriends that want to date you, so you get to pick whoever is the best for you, and they're going to want to make the best offer for you. So it's not like I had a lot of leverage walking into these deals, or I have this huge Spotify following. So I get why they gave me a shitty end of the stick. I just was surprised at how shitty it actually was. Definitely.
And I feel like it's a new wave, just kind of like artists moving more into the social media space, because like I guess that's where the numbers are. And an artist, someone that's kind of like up there but they're not, I feel like that's like your target, like of artists that are like mainstream but like kind of like forgotten mainstream, right? Because they kind of blew up in the era where social media wasn't as big, maybe.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of things to think about. One is the landscape has changed. Before, without all these independent YouTube platforms, podcast platforms, and TikTok and all these things happening, before it was all these gatekeepers that if you wanted to get into the radio, you want to go into the Breakfast Club, you have to know these guys to get in.
Yeah.
And so there was a lot of barriers to entry and a lot of gatekeepers. But now, with the independent world, that's all going to the side. I think where a record label might make sense for somebody is, let's say I'm a guy that all my money is coming from the streets, and I want to transition out of it. If the label gives me a really good cash advance that helps me to boost me in another direction, I think it makes sense. But if anyone that's bringing in independent money on their own, I would be very careful before they sign away a big cut to a label.
I feel like people just like see the money and like sign it. Like if I see $100K, why not do it? What's the, and then it just
it is very tempting.
Yeah.
And I think that's another big thing is you have to think about, it's like when you go on Shark Tank, how much of your business do you want to give away permanently? Yeah. And because let's say if your business it's $1 million business now and you give away 25%, but it becomes a $5 million business, you just gave away such a big chunk. But then it's a give and take too, because sometimes that investment money is what you need to go to the next level. Yeah. So it's all case by case.
Definitely. I feel like you want to talk about, so I just had a question. So I know you did the Uzi, the Just Wanna Rock behind the scenes. So how was that like?
I mean, that was about a year ago.
Yeah.
I was on and off with Tom at the time. So I went to go help my sister move in, and like that night I saw Gibson Hazard's story, and it said like Broome and Crosby Street. So I headed there, I got it on film, and then I sent it to his email, and then they threw it in the...
Yeah, how'd that feel, being in Uzi's description?
It was crazy, man. Like, I couldn't believe it, because I also called him because one of the producers said that we couldn't post any of the footage that we sent, but I just posted it anyways. And, it was all good, but...
Yeah. How would it be a full circle moment if you did a video with Uzi, and then, like, you were like, I was filming...
I think there's a good shot it might happen. I know that camera just
turn it off here. You could just keep going. Yeah.
I know Trappers and he talks somewhat with Uzi, and I think Uzi is at least vaguely aware of the channel. Yeah. And I think it just makes sense as we keep growing and as Uzi does his thing that eventually there'll be a collide.
Definitely.
And I'll welcome that moment when it comes.
Yeah, I feel like it has to happen naturally, though, you know, with
Yeah.
those guys. Because, like, if it doesn't, like, if something's forced, I feel like it's not, like, as good as if it just happens.
They got to reach out to you.
Yeah,
I don't think that's
yeah.
going to happen from me DMing them. It's going to be, yo, I'm in Atlanta, slide through. It's like we have to figure out how to get to Atlanta in the next 2 minutes so that we can be there. Because so many of these rappers are very, like, I would say poor schedulers. Like let's say Kodak. We had a 5% chance of doing something with him because his artist is Little Cricks, who we've already worked with. We know the manager. But what held it back was Little Cricks. Kodak wanted Cricks to have grills for the video, and he wasn't getting grills till like a day later when we were leaving. So that's. But then again, with a guy like Kodak, I feel like what happens is you get a call at 3 a.m. and it's like pull up. And then he might even be 6 hours late to his own pull-up text, you know?
Yep.
You just have to just sit there and figure it out and hope it happens.
Yeah, apparently at Rolling Loud, Kodak was, like, brushing his teeth on stage. I don't know too much about that, but he was just...
He's had some interesting ways of letting his fans know how much he cares. Like, I've seen him show up late to performances, like 3 hours late to a performance, perform for 20 minutes, and then got kicked off by the venue because it was that late that they had to shut down. And... to me, one thing I think is very important, I don't care who you are in this world, if people are paying money to see you, I think you should respect that, and I think you should honor that because it's not, you don't have a career unless those people are out there listening and paying. And sometimes the ego of a rapper really mystifies me because I guess that's part of what allures us to them too, is like, is this larger than life character who's just rolling through town. He has a big personality, and there's a lot of attraction to that, but then on the flip side is like, don't forget what feeds you is the fan.
I feel like people kind of are so like easily like throw away their money just to kind of watch someone perform. Like,
well, yeah, I mean, I think people are always looking for a hero, and I think way back in the day, like let's say medieval times, there was a lot more like the guy that goes to slay the dragon, that was the hero. But I think nowadays it's like people that have fame or that can do something that no one else can. Like to think that you have the cojones to go on stage in front of 50,000 people in an arena and do something, that is the hero now. So I think, but I also like these rappers can't get too ahead of themselves because when they all go broke and they treated people like shit all these years because they thought they were too good, like that's not a good position to be in either.
No, I definitely agree with that. And I feel like also kind of, I'm going to switch the topic for a second. Explain to me what happened in Mexico, because that was your biggest kind of like scary moment, right?
We were just on the other side of the Mexican border in a town called Piedras Negras, and we were interviewing a rapper by the name of Hostage, and he had been twice deported from the United States. He'd been to prison in the United States, and the night before we were supposed to meet him, he said that the cartel was looking for him or that he was wanted in some fashion. And we're thinking, what the hell? Like, this is not a good idea. Yeah. So our plan was, okay, we're going to go there at like 10 in the morning, do this, be there for like an hour, and get the hell out and get back on the other side of the border and be safe. We show up. It's it's pretty tough neighborhood as far as not really danger, but more so just people were poor. Like the house that we go into, there's no fridge. There's just very basic stuff in the house. Like you could tell they were living real tight. Yeah. Within about 15 minutes of interviewing Hostage, 3 Mexican police burst in the door and "El piso la verga," get your ass on the ground. That kind of sentiment. And ski masks, rifles, fingers on the trigger, and your heart just kind of stops. And it's like there's like a time warp that happens. You don't know if it's been 5 seconds or an hour, and it was pretty terrifying. I don't know, Miguel, if you have anything to add to the terror of the situation.
Yeah, I remember he was in the bathroom. So I had my headphones in, and this is when he had like the lav mic on. Yeah. So I'd just hear him. I wouldn't hear anything else. So he was coming out, and I just I was hearing him, and then I'm like looking to my left, and then I see the door open. Holy and then shit. I hear him just like get down, and then I just kind of just jump down, and I hear him just like talking to Keegan like, "Are you okay?" And Keegan's like not saying anything. What? And then they looked through the footage. We had one clip that was like 10 minutes, and they deleted that, and then there was another clip of them kind of coming in, and I was on the ground. That was 45 seconds. So we recovered the 45-second one, but we couldn't get the 10-minute one. It just wouldn't work. But yeah.
Miguel is a very brave individual. When we were getting stormed by the police, he tried to get a second clip and film it while it was happening. And that's what makes him a unique person is like we walk into a lot of sketchy situations, and I would say out of the three of us that travel, Miguel is usually the least amount of sketched out and kind of just like, oh yeah, we'll figure it out, like very go with the flow about it. And we have another trip coming up in November 1st. We leave for Pakistan and Afghanistan.
Wow. Okay.
And I go in between different feelings of feeling very excited, very positive, because the reviews and the people I've talked to, the people that live there, say that those places are some of the most hospitable, welcoming places on earth. Yeah. But then, of course, you're dealing with the Taliban, which is unquestionably one of the most oppressive government groups on the planet right now. Like, they give Kim Jong-un a run for his money. I think they're more reasonable than Kim Jong-un but that's not saying a lot. There's currently no music allowed there, no instruments. Men can get beaten up or arrested if they shave their beard. Women are inside. They're not allowed to do any sort of jobs. And these are people that also have strong feelings about America, which I kind of understand. If we were occupied by a foreign force and told what to do or what we can't do, or if someone was in our homeland, we would not be happy about it. So from that perspective, I understand why the Taliban might not like Americans. And so there is an element of like, what happens if we get detained indefinitely? What happens if we disappear? What kind of protocol is there to follow? Right. But I think this is going to be the most nerve-wracking one yet.
You're going to have everyone on YouTube reacting to that for sure. So wait, do you guys have a contact out there? Can you not speak on that? Or? Yeah,
so we have a gentleman in Pakistan that his family runs a good portion, at least for many years, of the gun market there. And I guess he's part of the Pashtun tribe, which he's in Pakistan, but the three major groups in Afghanistan are the Pashtuns, the Tajikistan people, and the Hazari. But the Pashtuns are where the Taliban comes from. That's their kind of tribe, and they are running Afghanistan. So apparently he would be a good contact to know that the Taliban would think, oh, okay, well, if they're with him, he must be okay. But then we have Afghanistan guides that speak English and Pashto and Dari, which are the three main languages we'll need.
I feel like a lot of kids out there want to do things, but they're afraid to do it, or they don't want to take the leap. I mean, even me, like, I look to different YouTubers and different people and see what they've done and kind of like follow their blueprint. How important do you think it is to follow your dreams?
Immensely important, because, and the thing is, there's a lot of kids out there that's like, I want to follow my dreams, but it's such a general thing. They don't know what their dreams are. They don't know what it is they think they're meant to be doing. I would say you have to get out into the field and get a little muddy to figure out what you are about. If you sit in your room all day, how are you going to find your passions? How are you going to find what you love? And so whether you think you want to be the next great designer that's going to design new apartments or develop, or there's so many different things you can do in this world, but you have to take some sort of action. The phrase I always like to live by is, action is the ink that writes the story of your life. Yeah. And to figure out what it is you love, get out there and try new things. Show up to a language class. Show up to you want to do ballroom dancing. You want to build a kite. There's so many things you could do as a human being on this planet that there's no excuse not to be passionate about something.
Yeah, no, the passion, drives everything in a way. You have to wake up and really want to do it. You can't just, I feel like people want to find things to be passionate about and they're not truly passionate about it, and it kind of like, it doesn't work in their favor. So
I think another big thing, and I'll say this from kind of a jiu-jitsu mentality, is people have to be comfortable being a white belt. Every journey you start, you have to start as the inexperienced person that gets tapped out a lot, that it doesn't go well. The only way to become a black belt is to just continue. And a lot of people will quit things very easily. Hey, I want to play guitar. They pick it up. They can't play a song, so they quit. They don't take lessons. They don't go on the internet and watch the tutorials. Like, you have to be dedicated to get some level of competency and skill. So you have to advance.
Yeah. Speaking of, you just mentioned jiu-jitsu. I know last year you wanted to fight Sneeko, was it?
My friend Brandon did, but I would gladly choke him out too. I
Okay,
could do that in a heartbeat.
Yeah, I mean, Sneeko, if you're somehow watching this,
I don't know Sneeko. I don't have a personal vendetta against him. My friend does, and if we had to have a cage fight between Brandon Buckingham and Sneeko, I would put the whole house on Brandon Buckingham.
Okay.
No questions asked. And if there's a YouTube fight in the future, I'm open to it, but I'm not really in a spirit of wanting to fight people. I never have been. I like peace. I like making friends, and I don't get angry too easily. So it's not, I don't know. The only reason I think I would want to fight is for the competition of it.
Yeah.
The experience of it. But if someone does me really, really dirty, I'm trying to think if there's anyone worth fighting at this point. I don't really have any enemies, so.
Yeah.
But Sneeko, he can get it from Brandon Buckingham.
I know you reached out to him. What were you doing videography before, or what was?
Yeah, I think I met you
at DJ Mondo, right?
My first week that I moved here.
Yeah.
I met you after shooting.
Yeah.
So I was shooting like concerts, music videos.
Yeah.
I had an internship at UW Milwaukee doing athletic videos.
Mm-hmm.
I was editing for weddings. I was doing my own vlogs. I was just trying everything. I was throwing a bunch of stuff at a wall, and then something stuck, and then I just kept going. That's literally what it was.
That's the exact thing that we're talking about for finding your passion. I don't know if Miguel thought doing weddings was his passion, but you have to get relevant experience somewhere. So like you get your foot in the door somewhere. In the journey of life, you never know where it's going to pivot into the next chapter. Agreed. But you have to start on chapter 1 to get to chapter 2. Right. So get your feet in the game, people.
Yeah, you definitely have to give your all to it. What else? Oh yeah, so Balin had his tour. Was it July in Milwaukee? He did it in Milwaukee, July.
Sometime recently, he did a fantastic job with it.
Did he do it at Pfizer? I saw his video. I didn't know.
Yeah, Turner Hall.
Oh, right next to Pfizer.
Sold the place out, as he did many of his locations on his tour.
No. So, do you watch his video? Do you see like there's a kid who like went in his tour bus and took all of his stuff?
I saw that. That was in Milwaukee when that happened.
Of course, that's in Milwaukee. But
yeah. Balin dealt with it in a very adult and mature way. And I saw the viral TikTok about it too.
Yeah.
He handled that situation better than I think most people possibly could have. And I have a ton of respect for Balin and what he's doing. Like he is just, I think he knows that a lot of kids look up to him. And I think he conducts himself in a way that's like, it's good that he's a guy the kids look up to.
Yeah, you can't even like walk around in his hometown or in like a mall with someone like going up to him asking him for a picture. Like even when he's driving, people like from the next car see him. Like I feel like definitely that life kind of can get to a point where it's just like too much. But
yeah, I think he's well built for it, and I think he really enjoys it and he thrives in that. But I do think a lot of people want to chase fame. Like you ask, what do you want to be? And they say famous, but they don't say as a guitarist or as an NFL player. Famous is a pretty not that cool thing to be, I think, because there's a lot that comes with it. And like, could you imagine being Justin Bieber? You're walking outside, you're trying to get a coffee, and TMZ is like, oh, you just had an argument with your girlfriend. Like, just get the fuck out of my face. Like I can't, for him to have gone through what he's gone through, is unbelievable. I think. So I think fame will be a byproduct if you do something really well at a high level. But to chase fame itself is a pretty dumb thing to chase, and that's where you get like the reality. That's like the trashiest level of fame is, oh, I want to be in a reality TV show or whatever. Who gives a shit? Like I think at the end of the day, when you're on your deathbed, thinking about your life or telling your grandkids about your life, you want a life that had meaning and purpose and value to the world. Mm-hmm. And like you see right now with Blueface and his different, that's like the weakest level of fame to want to aspire to. Like there's no value. It's just garbage. It's like eating a bag of Skittles versus eating a steak and potatoes. Like one is just nutritionally bullshit and the other is going to help you grow. And don't strive for the Skittles level of fame.
We kind of just like look up to famous people naturally, so I feel like people are more like inclined. The people that end up wanting to become famous like don't actually become famous, or they become famous for the wrong reasons. So
I think it's important to always have integrity on the journey. And so I think if you happen to become massively well known because you're Ed Sheeran and you spent 4 or 5 years grinding and performing in coffee shops and and then you become the guy that performs in arenas. Like, good for you. Like, you earn that fame. But I think in this like very quick flash in the pan TikTok and Instagram Reels world, like, people want to do people just want, it's like seeking negative attention. Like, oh, I'm going to be like Boom Gang. Like, I'm going to rob this store, and that's what I got famous for. And I know he's turned himself around, and he seems like he's doing a lot better. But, like, that was the wrong type of thing to chase.
Definitely. I agree with that. Yeah, Boonk is definitely an interesting story with that.
Like the Island Boys would be another example of very cheap.
Yeah.
If what you do is cheap, it's going to be a very short runway you have of being known. But if what you do has roots, you're going to be the tree that stays no matter how windy it gets.
Definitely agree with that. Thank you. Maybe we could run it again next year, see how far you've came. But I think we touched on a lot of good things. It's probably ended up being like 30 minutes. Just to close it off, what is your message for the youth? Both of you guys can say.
My message for the youth is to do something that has meaning and purpose and to work very, very hard, because nothing good or lasting comes in this life without working very hard towards what you want to do.
Okay. Tommy G, it's been real.
Around that time, bitch. Know what the fuck going on? Step on. Shotty. Pussy ass.